What is up? Matt Pratt here, and we are going to jump back on this wide body Porsche 911 SC. I actually have been working on in between videos of the Supra, and it's getting really close. I just have a few steps that I have to do, final fit up of all these extra parts, and then we can probably put some color on this thing. Alright, so I started to mock up the rear bumper. I had a friend of mine that actually started to weld this bumper on, and he talked about these little issues we're about to discuss right now, and now I see them. So this is a newer Porsche bumper, and it looks really good. I mean, you gotta remember, we added a wide body onto this car. It wasn't originally a wide body car, and the body line fits really good. Now the tail light has a little gap under here. It's also sticking out a little bit, so we know when that goes in, this gap's going to get bigger. But the rear bumper is the issue. As you can see, we got a huge gap and fastening holes there. Now, maybe the newer taillights, the later model taillights, will fit in here and cover this gap up. But worst case scenario, I would actually consider putting a piece of trim here. It would just come out and probably ride this body line here and then go back in. And what it would do is it would cover that gap. You can paint it satin black, and it will literally look like a piece of trim or a molding on the bumper. And that will allow us to run this newer bumper on this older 911. So what I'm going to do is take a picture of it, send it to my buddy, see what he wants to do, and then we'll go from there. But as for now, it's not going to slow me down from painting this thing. I'm going to finish making these brackets to mount this bumper on, so we can just keep rolling on this thing. I'll show you what I got going on here. This pole here is actually what the original bumper used to attach to. Now, it should have a reinforcement going all the way across. It doesn't. This bumper that they want on here is weird little cage that goes across, and I don't know, maybe some race car stuff, who knows. Well, anyways, we don't have a good way to mount the bumper on there. So what I did was, we got this bracket here that I had zipped on here, and zipped it on like this. And here is the corner of the bumper, which mounts in here like this. Now we have this bracket in here. Yeah, I got this wrench stuck in there. It's going to come out in a second, but this is the only bracket we have. It's aluminum. And I guess they make some sort of bracket come off of this to mount to here. They don't have it, so I had to make one. And it wasn't really that hard. I pretty much took this metal and lined it up and to about right here where this hole will mount, and there's another mounting hole should mount up there. And I eyeballed it, made sure all my gaps were good, eyeballed it. I shot some spray paint in there just so I know where to line this up. Now I'm going to take it over there, tack weld it, bring it back over, make sure everything looks good, and then maybe hit it with a solid weld. That's going to work for now. I don't know what they had here before, but we couldn't find exactly what they had. There isn't a lot on the internet that tells you about Porsches, at least from what I could find. And Porsches are foreign, so this will work. It takes a couple hours to fab something up like this. But at least we can keep rolling with the bumper. And hopefully whenever we find actual mounts for this thing, we can put them on and it'll replace these. I'm sure they're going to take some modifications because I'm fitting this to this car, but it is what it is. So let's get welded on it. Finally, I made a bracket that I was happy with. I actually took the other bracket and just kind of destroyed it. But you can see in here that I have a bracket, and here it is, and you can see the hole. It actually lines up with the other hole, and the bumper sits where I needed to sit. There's my mark. Line me up. Taillight looks really good. It like covers this whole area. Turn this light off. Shove it in there real quick. This taillight is super finicky. So there we go. Fits up kind of right where I want it to be at. And I gotta remember there's a gap right here, and that's where we're gonna create a piece of trim to come out and go way across to the rear bumper. But so far, the mounting job that we have on here, besides our taillight coming apart, looks pretty dang good. Overall, I'm pretty happy, but definitely not a fan of making stuff that ain't supposed to fit somehow. Now, I just have to make a bracket for this side of this. Good thing is I can take that bracket off and kind of mimic the same thing over here, and it probably will be really close. This bracket already has holes in it. This was from a earlier version of the brackets that I was making, and I'm just going to flip it over and use these holes. I really don't see the need to waste any metal in this. Alright, this bracket went so much smoother after you do one. It was pretty easy to do the other. You can kind of see it in there. It's just tack welded right now. But the taillight gap looks like how it should. This gap looks good, and look at that. See, I thought these were ready for paint. Apparently there's a mounting hole here that hangs out a little more than it should, and I didn't know about it. The other side has holes all the way across that fit nicely under here. You can't even see them. This one looks like it has an extra one, so I gotta repair that and fill that. Which is the reason why I really stress about fitting all this stuff up as much as you can before you paint it. I would have painted this thing, this hole would have been in, I would have been repainting it. It would have been a waste of paint and time. So good thing you see that now. Well, let's get this bracket welded up, and then we can finish mounting the rest of this bumper together for one last time before we paint. it, I'm going to drill the holes for the mounting bracket. When I made sure everything was correct under here, I just hit it with some spray paint, and that literally outlines where the holes I need to drill to mount the bumper to the bracket. Cool thing about it is it even tells me the size the holes need to be when I throw my step bit through there. Alright, the bumper is sitting on the bracket. It's not bolted or anything, but it can be. I'm not going to bolt it up yet because I got to take this all back off, but it all lines up and looks pretty good. Now, it might be kind of tricky building a piece of trim, but as you can see, it won't be much. And it'll come in and cover that. And I really think if we keep it satin black, it'll be really factory looking. Might just mount it under here, maybe some clips in there, and it feels like there's room to mount it in here too, just come from the bottom. And I would just use like push-in clips or something, but it'll look really good. And there's that hole. Sucks, I do gotta fix that, but it is what it is. That's why we're doing this. But the new bumper looks really cool. He's definitely gonna have to get an exhaust built, because you see that exhaust, it's gotta come out here now. And you wonder why these guys put big turbo kits under here. Look at all that room. I mean, literally all this room in here to put the turbo. I think that's really cool. Alright, since this rear bumper is pretty much set up and done, now it's time to mount these side skirts and see how this is going to look. And we have here our side skirts and our little quarter extension piece. They've been primed a few times. They look pretty crisp compared to what they used to look like. If you want to see what they used to look like, go ahead and check out my older videos. Anyways, they call for like some double-sided tape to go along it, and I'm just not a fan of double-sided tape. I would much rather find a clean way to fasten it to the car. And I've seen a couple Porsches, they'll put like a clip right here, maybe right here, and maybe I'll add one to the front, maybe to the fender, and it looks really clean. You have your nice subtle, you know, rocker pieces, and then it has like a clip here and a clip there. You barely even notice it. Looks very professional and factory. I think that's what I want to do. But right now, let's get them mounted on the car, clamped on, and see what ideas come to mind. Alright, this looks pretty good. All my lines line up pretty well. Don't mind these screws, they're just temporary. I'm gonna have like a nice Allen head screw, probably gonna be around the same width. I might do the color black, so I'm gonna put something nice in there. But all these lines line up good. This line looks very uniform, and then my body line looks really good. So when I drill a hole for this, I just use a self-tapper to push it all the way through to hold this. I'll actually pull that self-tapper out, and I'll put what we have here is like a plastic anchor, and this is a automobile body panel anchor, and what we're going to do is drill it big enough for this to fit in there, and we're going to pull them out, and then we're going to paint the entire car, and then we're going to stick this in there. If I were to just screw this screw in here, or after I paint it, the problem is that water is going to run down in this area, and right where you drilled, you took all the paint off, it's going to actually start corroding. And every time I put the screw in and out of it, it's going to take some paint off, it's going to corrode. So the best thing is put a plastic anchor in there, and I'm going to have these anchors all along the bottom to help fasten this to the car. One thing I don't like about this is this little gap here. You know, you can tighten it up pretty well. I know I said I didn't want to run double-sided tape, but it looks like I'm actually going to have to in order to get away from this. I just can't justify putting these screws all the way down it. I might incorporate one like you know, at the beginning of the rocker here. We're already gonna have a screw here, so I wouldn't need one into the fender, but who knows, I won't. But I just know anywhere where I put one isn't going to take up the slack unless I put it directly in the middle, which I'm not gonna do that. Double side tape wins. I'm gonna have to put some here in the inside. I also have a couple extra pinholes that I have to fill before I spray along this edge. Let's go over to the other side. Over here, same thing. Lines look really good. This looks really uniform. This body line that I had to make looks really good. The screws in there look great. Now we come over to this. Same issue, but a little worse. It really doesn't matter how much fiberglass filler that I put in here. There's no possible way that I'm gonna be able to put fiberglass filler and block it out. There's just no way. So what I'm gonna have to do is, you know, like I said, just have to stick with some double-sided tape. When I double-side tape it, it'll probably be after it's been freshly painted. I'm gonna put the heat lamp and warm the area up really nice so I can really get that double-sided tape to stick. I just personally haven't had the greatest luck with it. I do not like using it. Anyways, that is where we stand with the Porsche right now. Just a little update. I am pretty sure I am happy with everything that I've done here so far, and the next step is to disassemble this entire thing and finally sand it down to paint it. But that's going to be another video. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. I'm working on stuff like this every single week, and if you are subscribed, thank you. Hit me with a like, and I'll see you all next week.